It is Wellness Wednesday. Renee Seiler is here. And before we went to break, Dr. Maya Speller Cullins told us something very personal and I'm sure painful that she's working through as a person that helps people go through this themselves, right? And you said you questioned, you asked God why, and then you discovered why.
I did. So, it bothered me initially because I wanted to know how can I help so many people, as well as my son, when he was alive. And I couldn't save him. And I followed all the measures, everything that I should have done. I knew what to do. And the system, because that is broken in such a manner that it cost his life. And one day I was sitting up on my bed and I was praying and I was sitting like, God, all these questions, why? I know we don't supposed to ask God why. And it was clear as day as if I could hear his voice. And it was even so deep and clear, I can feel it in my spirit, where God was saying to me, it was his time. He was a Christmas baby. I was giving him to you temporarily. He was your motivation at one point, and he's going to continue to be your motivation, which he was, which I used to always tell Nigel, because I had him at 16. And he said, you remember, and I can remember back when I was getting my doctoral degree and I would cry some days trying to get things together and trying to get things right. And God said, you went through this phase in your life for something greater. When Nigel's life ended, he handed you the torch. And because he handed you the torch, you have to fight his places that he can't go, that you can. And it's things that he can do being here with me that you will not be able to. Mm-hmm. So I use that as my strength to know that it's no way me being 16 years old and the way God has shifted my life due to my upbringing, that God is still not in the midst. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I would be angry. I would want to give up. But what would that do for my son? And he used to think I was a super mom. So anytime he would be in trouble, he'd say, call my mama, call my mama. And that's why even when he had his mental breaks, no matter where he was at, even if it's a stranger on the street, he says, call my mama. But this last time, he told me that day that he was prepared to die. And I said, no, you're not. Don't go. You're not leaving. And he said, oh, I'm prepared. He had his head up high. He put his chest out and he walked away. I'm running down Midtown in Atlanta behind him, trying to keep him with me. And I felt like at that time I should have went with him, but it wasn't God's plan. And I just, he'll come back like he always do, but he never left me. It didn't matter what type of trouble or whatever he did, he never left me, but this time was different. So it was beyond my control. And it taught me a lot too, because in my life, I felt like, and as mothers, you feel like you can control certain things to a certain extent when it comes to your kids. But God showed me that he is in control. We control nothing. We all have to cross the same path that Nigel crossed. Unfortunately, his was tragic, but we all have to cross that path. So now in our life, the things that we do, it has to be purposeful. It has to mean something. Otherwise, now I don't do it. I felt like I've gotten as high as I possibly could within my career, education. None of that matters. Only thing matters now is making sure, and I'm only saying that little Black boy and girl, that woman and man, because we are the ones that are getting killed. I have nothing against any other race, any other gender, nothing at all. However, my purpose and my fight is different because of what happened to my son. And that goes back to why I stand today. And people say, how can you be so strong? And I can sit in a room with mothers. I had a recent meeting with the mayor here, and I can feel their pain, but I couldn't get remorseful. I had to turn it off because I had to be this voice. I had to speak. I had to talk and make sure that the mayor understood I cry. Not a physical cry, I cry what we need, what action plan we needed, what follow-up we needed. And I feel that things that happen in life don't just happen. God has a way of doing things, and it's so much bigger than us. And God had to remind me in that day when I was sitting on my bed, he reminded me.
Wow.
As hard as it is, he reminded me.
Yeah.
And I say to myself, oh my gosh, when I go and I talk about it, I have to talk about it with my soul. I have to talk about it with my whole being. I have to talk about it with everything that's in me. It ain't no just conversation. It's me. It's the most realest, rawest place you can get. Because when you experience something, especially grief and different things, you have all type of things that come to your mind. But when I tell you, this is probably the closest in my life that I have gotten to God, where I literally feel like I'm laying at his feet. It's a good place to be, a very vulnerable place to be, but I know he got me.
Wow.
And that's the best feeling I can have. And all I ask him, whatever you need me to do, I'm gonna ride with you. I'm gonna ride with you until I can't ride no more. I just ask that in this life, I do everything that you need me to do from this day forward. And that's what I do.
Do you, I mean, to listen to you talk and talk from this place of experience, I know I can imagine what a blessing it is for these women to actually have someone who's empathetic. It's not sympathy, it's empathy.
Yeah.
I feel you. I've been where you've been. On the whole, where do you think we are in terms of mental illness as a people, as in terms of Black folks? It feels like the pressure is it feels insurmountable. It's so great. And everywhere we turn, we're dealing with all kinds of issues. And then when you add on top of, systemic and institutional racism and things like that, then you add a poor economy and voter
Right.
suppression and all the things.
All the factors.
It's a wonder that we're not just breaking down in the street. Where are we in terms of mental illness as a whole? And do we talk about it enough as a people, Black folks?
No, I don't think we talk about it enough. And to answer your question, where are we at as a whole? We are just existing to do the best we can with what we have. And I know within our culture, a lot of people were brought up, what goes on in the house, stay in the house. Things that may not necessarily be functional, and we living in dysfunctional situations, it has become our norm in a lot of cases, unfortunately. It's a lot of work that need to be done. But you look at all of the stressors that are causing these things, the police brutality, the racism, everything that as a African-American person, what we are experiencing. And we have to wear that on our shoulder every day. And there's nothing that we can do about it. And the truth of the matter is, it's going to take all of years, even back to our ancestors. It's going to take time. It's not something that can happen overnight, but I do feel that there's a solution. The people that is in their prospective positions now, if they stand up, take accountability, and start working towards change, I believe us as a culture will start building that trust that there is a sense of hope. Right now, we are hopeless, a lot of people. Where's the hope at? I don't feel like it's going to change. You're still killing us, or you're still giving us false promises that we living in a system that's equally, if I do this and a Caucasian person do that, and I'm just using this as an example, I get 10 years, they get one year. You see what I'm saying? Like, so we can bridge that gap. That's a solution. We can start there, but that's going to take time. If I had a magic wand, I'd make it perfect, but I know that's impossible. If I can sit up here and have a seminar and tell you, I'm going to tell you the truth, nothing is going to change unless the people that is in the prospective positions and have the power that they have, they can make the change, start enforcing it, get out the politics and the political aspect, and look at human beings, look at us as people. And that's the first step. We are human beings. We are people. You have to first acknowledge that. In most cases, that's not acknowledged, unfortunately.
Right.
So, it's so deep that it's going to take time, but I feel, and I'm going to speak it, that is solutions that can happen if we start taking steps.